Genesis 12 marks one of the most decisive turning points in all of Scripture. Up to this moment, humanity has been moving steadily away from God, through Babel, through idolatry, through rebellion that spreads across the earth. And then, without warning, God does something radically different. He does not address a nation. He does not reform a culture. He calls a man. That man is Abram, later Abraham, the first of what Scripture calls the patriarchs. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. These men are not chosen because they are righteous above all others, as Noah was. There is no statement that Abram was morally superior, spiritually enlightened, or already devoted to the God Most High. In fact, all evidence points in the opposite direction. Abram came from a thoroughly pagan family, in a thoroughly pagan world. And yet God speaks. Genesis 12, the 1-2, is not merely a call to relocate geographically. It is a call to separate, to be divided, and to be remade. It is the beginning of God's covenantal pattern that will echo through all of Scripture, culminating in Messiah himself. Genesis 12, verse 1 begins with a command that is as unsettling as it is profound. Go from your country, and from your relatives, and from your father's house, to the land which I will show you. This is not a gentle invitation. This is a demand for total separation. Abram is told to leave his land, his security, to leave his people, his culture and identity, and most strikingly, to leave his father's house, the strongest tie of all in the ancient world. This command makes one thing unmistakably clear. What God was about to do could not be accomplished while Abram remained connected to the old life. The call of God required separation, not because the people around Abram were uniquely evil, but because they were devoted to a system of worship that stood opposed to Yahweh. And we must understand this. Abram did not step out of a life of faithful monotheism into something new. He stepped out of idolatry. He was not abandoning righteousness. He was abandoning familiarity. That makes Abram's obedience all the more remarkable. God did not hand him a map. He did not give him a timeline. He did not provide evidence beyond a promise. Go to the land which I will show you. Abram was required to move forward without knowing where he was going, only who was calling. Yet let us not romanticize this obedience. Abram did not suddenly become a flawless servant of God. 75 years of ingrained beliefs, traditions, and patterns do not disappear overnight. That is precisely why separation was necessary. God did not merely elect Abram, he removed him. This is a pattern we see again and again in Scripture. God divides, God elects, and God separates. Election without separation does not produce holiness. And holiness, being set apart, is the defining mark of those who belong to God. This same principle appears powerfully in the teachings of Yeshua. When Jesus says in Luke 4-26 that one must hate father and mother to follow him, he is not commanding emotional cruelty. He is demanding priority and allegiance. The call of God must surpass every other relationship, even the most sacred ones. Jesus makes this even clearer in Matthew 10 when he says he did not come to bring peace, but a sword, not a weapon of violence, but a blade of division. The truth of God divides light from darkness, belief from unbelief, obedience from resistance. And sometimes that division runs straight through households. Separation may come through painful means, loss, rejection, misunderstanding, even death. Or it may come through a conscious decision to step away from people, places, or systems that no longer align with God's calling. Sometimes separation even comes from religious institutions that have lost their first love and chosen comfort over truth. But here is the good news. Separation is never the end. It is the doorway. Genesis 12:4 tells us simply, "So Abram went, and in that act of going, Abram ratified the covenant. He fulfilled his part, not by perfection, but by obedience." The rest of the covenant was entirely God's responsibility. That is what makes this a permanent covenant. It is unilateral. God does the sustaining. God does the fulfilling. God bears the weight of completion. Abram could stumble, fail, and struggle, and he did. But the covenant stood because it rested on God, not man. Genesis 12 confronts us with a sobering and liberating truth. We cannot move forward with God while clinging to what he has told us to leave behind. Separation is rarely comfortable. It is often misunderstood, and it is almost always costly. But it is also the necessary condition for holiness. And holiness is not optional for the people of God. Abram's story reminds us that God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the called. He does not demand perfection before obedience. He shapes us through obedience. And when God calls us to go, whether from habits, relationships, mindsets, or even religious systems, we can trust that what He promises to build will far outweigh what we are asked to leave behind. Because when God says go, He is not abandoning us. He is leading us into covenant. And covenant, when it rests entirely on Him, can never fail.